This last weekend was a really busy one on our little homestead, so I'm going to take you all along with me as I do some chores. One of the things that I did last week was reorganize my kitchen because we don't have a pantry, and every time I open those doors, everything would just fall out. So using some baskets and turntables and glass jars really made a difference. And it's made cooking and preserving food so much simpler because I can actually find things in my kitchen now. This was my first year with a really big garden, and I grew most of our produce, and I had these great plans to have a really organized fall garden, but I didn't really account for the fact that it wouldn't be like the spring where I could just go out and plant. I have so much overgrowth in my garden from weeds and plants that need to be tended to. I just haven't been able to keep up, and so I might plant a few things for fall, but it's not going to be as extensive as the spring. And I think I'll just continue to add gardening skills every year and keep getting better. I had so many jalapenos, and I'm going to use this to make more jalapeno jelly because we've eaten most of what I preserved recently. It's kind of hard to tell from the video, but in the front is some cover crop that I planted to improve the health of the soil. I got my cover crop from True Leaf Market, and it's specifically a no-till variety, which is perfect for my garden. And I want to plant it in other areas of my garden, but I really need to take care of the weeds first. As you can see, some of the beds have just really gotten out of control with weeds, but somehow a lot of my plants are still thriving, especially the okra. So my cucumbers did amazing this year, and they're pretty much done for the season. So I'm going to go ahead and take those vines down and train my sweet potatoes to grow up the trellis. I've shared this over on Instagram, but my tomatoes did not do well this year. I'm really not 100% sure why. At the beginning of the season, they had a lot of flowers, but it didn't turn into fruit. And so I think it could have been pollination issues, perhaps the fact that I didn't trim them back initially. I think there's a lot of factors that could have contributed. But I had some tomato plants that were still growing, but they really weren't producing fruit. So I decided to just take that out, and I'm going to take it to my compost pile. My plan for getting rid of these weeds is to mow or weed eat them down because pulling them by hand will just take way too long. And then I'm going to get some cardboard I like to get it from places that sell refrigerators, actually, because you can get really big pieces that cover almost the entire bed at once. I did end up pulling a little bit, but I realized pretty quickly that I would be able to do that for the entire garden. And I'll lay some mulch on top of it to have on there until next season. So this was on Saturday, and I finished harvesting and working on some of the weeds, and then we enjoyed a Sabbath together as a family. So on Sunday afternoons, I usually do a reset for the week to put our family in a good position for the week ahead. So I have a lot to do today. We did like a camping night yesterday for our Sabbath. It was so fun, so special. And now I've got to catch up. So I will show you our kitchen. It is quite messy right now, and I have a lot of things that need to be preserved from my garden. I went through yesterday and harvested a lot of things, and then I need to work on preserving it. I'm probably going to freeze a lot of it because it's quicker and easier. We had tons of peppers. It was crazy. And then let's see what else. I need to work on my garden some more. I need to take some things to the root cellar. I need to restock on my bulk fruits in the root cellar. And we're picking up our pork from a local farmer tomorrow, and so I need to clear out our freezer. because right now I can't find anything in there. I just like threw our beef in there when we got it and it's such a mess. So I'm gonna work on those things today. I'll take you all along, kind of show you what it's like. I'm doing some of these homesteading chores on the weekend. That's when I do most of them because my husband is home and we kind of take turns with the kids. I try to do it during the day, but you know, like some of it doesn't really happen. So, all right, let's get started. My husband usually does the dishes every night, but because I've been cooking from home so much more recently, we have had a crazy amount of dishes. And so I try, if I'm working on one project in the kitchen or waiting for something, especially while canning, I try to at least unload or start a new load, because otherwise it will just end up being almost every dish in our kitchen in the sink by the end of the day. One of my Sunday afternoon rhythms is to prepare for the week ahead. So I do a toy rotation for my kids, which I can show in another video. I'll link it at the end of this one. And then I also like to set out their morning basket and kind of prep that for the week. We are not officially starting homeschool, but I do like to have a morning basket with some poems and catechisms and Bible verses. We also do sensory activities and some crafts and lots of books. So this doesn't happen every day, but I find if I take some time to set out a basket that we can kind of pull from every morning, or not every morning, but it's available every morning, then it's more likely to happen than if I'm trying to do it every single night before. We took a break from doing morning basket when my daughter was born because we were just getting used to having another baby. But now that she's one, we've started implementing it again, and it's been so special. It's a little bit different trying to do morning basket with a 1-year-old, but I have some things for my daughter, and they usually only keep her attention for about 30 seconds or a minute. But it's really special to have this time together as a family and to start our day with it. For those of you who are new around here, I used to teach first grade before I started staying home with my kids, and one of the things that I learned while I was in school for education is how important it is to provide a literacy-rich environment for your kids from a really young age. And one of the ways to do this is just to have lots of books at their level around your house. And so we go to the library a couple times a month, and I just let my kids pick out books that they're interested in, and then I'll grab a few that I think will be good as well. And I set them out in these baskets. We have multiple baskets around the house, and I put them just at a lot of different places on their level. So on this table, I like to set out ones that we will read together throughout the week, and then I also set out some that are audiobooks. Our library has these books called Wonder Books that you don't even have to have headphones for them. They'll just play by pushing a button, which are great for younger kids who are getting used to audiobooks. So this is everything that I harvested from my garden, and I'm going to show you how to preserve it. So right now I am working on preserving these peppers. They're called garden salsa peppers, and they're initially green, like most peppers, and I think all peppers, and then they turn red if you leave them on long enough. So I was not sure what to do with these, and I had a friend who told me try to dehydrate them, and you can turn it into a powder to use. You can also make it into like crushed red peppers to put on top of pizza, or on soups or different things. So that's what I'm doing. I have a dehydrator, and I just watched a video because I've never done this before. So in the video, the guy said that you just you wash them, which I've done. You slice off the tops and bottoms and then cut them in half and put them on a dehydrator. And then after that, I'm going to crush them and turn them into, I'm trying to think, I'm running low on red pepper flakes, so I might do that because I have a ton of chili powder right now. So we'll see. I think that's actually a jalapeno, but it's okay. I'll just put it in there too. I think something that I really love about gardening is how it's been teaching me to make the most of my food, because in the past I have, like, we would buy jalapenos in a pack at Aldi's, and then I would only use one of them, and then the rest would just completely go to waste. Ooh, that one's not good. And I didn't know what to do with it, and I was like, oh, I can just get more at the grocery store, so I don't really need to think about how to make the most of it, which was really not good of me. But when you are spending so much of your time growing produce, it really makes you value it. And so I'm not perfect at not wasting food, but I have improved a lot from where I used to be. So if that's something that you want to grow in, start with the food that you have already and see what you can do with it. Like, you don't have to have a garden to preserve things like peppers. And I'll link my dehydrator below. I got it for a really reasonable price. They have some that are cheaper, it's kind of a middle grade one, and they have some that are nicer and have more trays and are more expensive, but this one has worked great for me. I think the video that I watched, he said he did it for 12 hours. I'm probably just gonna leave it on overnight and then check in the morning, make sure that they're really dried out. Okay, so I finished slicing those in half. Sissy, come here. Do you want to try this? Mmm. So next up on my list was cleaning out our fridge. It had been several weeks since I had done this. I kept putting it off, and I had been wondering where Tupperware was, and I cannot even tell you how many Tupperware containers I found in the refrigerator. So we are actually picking up our pork from a local farmer the day after this video was filmed, and so we needed to organize our deep freezer. We have already caught beef from a local farmer, and we needed to make room for the pork. So I organized that, and I also created a freezer inventory to keep track of all of the things that I have on hand so that they don't go bad. Because if you have a big freezer and a refrigerator, it's really easy to forget what you actually have on hand. So my husband cleared out the freezer and scraped the sides because it was starting to build up some ice, and then I started organizing. I decided to put the beef all on one side. I actually ended up switching sides after realizing it wasn't going to work like this. And then we'll put the pork on the other side. I also have lots and lots of veggies from my garden that I froze to use throughout the winter, in addition to some chicken and fish. This was our first year buying meat in bulk, and it has made meal planning so much easier. I at least have a starting point, and then I can build meals off of the meat that we have, in addition to the bulk food that we have in our pantry and in our root cellar. Looks so much better. I should have taken a before photo. And here's our other freezer in our kitchen. Okay, so we went down. Can you actually move that to there? I don't think this will. I believe it's bad to have that high, like, might be flammable. So our house is almost 100 years old, and this is the root cellar below it where we store a lot of our canned goods. Thank you so much for watching, friends. If you are not already subscribed, I would love if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you will be the first to know of when I release new videos about homesteading and slow living for moms on a budget. Thanks so much, and have a great day.